All right, question number 3, we're going to be doing composition of function. We have 4 parts, and we want to simplify the expression f of g using 3, f of f using 9, g of f of x, and f of g of x. Okay. So we're going to start by writing our original equations, f of x, square root of x, and g of x, which is x to the third minus 23. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is f of g of 3. So I'm writing it using the alternate method. This helps you see what's going on. So one thing you can do, you can just plug in 3 into the g equation, get that answer, and then plug it into f. Or we can just do it all at once and just plug this equation into f and then plug in 3, which I'm going to do that just to save space. So I'm going to start with the f equation, which is square root of x. Not putting in the x, I'm going to replace it with x cubed minus 23. So I'm plugging in g into the f equation everywhere we have an x. So this is going to be x cubed minus 23. Okay, so this is f of g. And now I'm going to plug in 3 for x. So this is going to be 3 to the third minus 23. 3 to the third is 27. So this is going to be the square root of 27 minus 23. And that's going to equal 27 minus 23 is going to be square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is just equal to 2. Now we should be remembering plus or minus 2, but I think they're just accepting the 2 for right now. But do remember, when you do the square root of a number, plus or minus. All right, part 2, f of 9. So I'm just going to say b, and we're going to do f of 9. So again, first I'm going to start by plugging the function f in for f. So I'll start with the square root of x, but I'm going to leave the x blank. That's the only thing here. And I'm going to plug this whole thing in for x. So I'm going to have another square root of x. Looks weird. Got a square root in the square root. All right, now we're going to plug in 9. All right, so the square root of 9 is 3. So underneath, I still have the big square root, but I've evaluated the smaller, so this is just square root of 3. And square root of 3 is an irrational number. We cannot solve it. It's not a whole number, so we can just leave this as is. So part B, we're going to leave it as square root of 3. Part C, we are going to do g of f of x. So this time all we got to do is plug in the f equation into the g. So I'm going to start with g. The g equation is x cubed minus 23. So I'm going to say blank cubed minus 23. In the place of x, we're going to replace that with the square root of x. So this is saying the square root of x raised to the third power. So we could leave it like this. You can also rewrite this as a fractional notation. So whatever the power of your square root is, you can rewrite it as a power, but it just ends up being a rational expression. So you could leave it like so, or you can write it as x, the third power. Since this is square root, we're looking for what goes into a number twice, so it's 3 over 2 minus 23. I like rewriting it like this, but you're welcome to leave it as so. So I'm going to type it in just like this without changing anything. I'm going to go ahead and put it in parentheses as well. And you can put that cube on the inside. It's the same, it's interchangeable. So I'm going to say cube square root of x, and we'll raise that to the third power, and then minus 23. Can't simplify that. All right, and then the last part, D, kind of brings us back to where we started. We're doing f of g of x, and instead of writing it like that, I should have wrote it f g of x. Okay, so this is kind of what we did at the very beginning, but we plugged in a 3. So when I first did step 1, this is the same exact thing we're getting. We're starting with f square root of x, and we're plugging in g. So that's pretty much what we did on the first step of part 1. X cubed minus 23, just without plugging in the number. So that will just give us what we need. So we have square root x cubed minus 23.